So good job. That's all right, Melanie. I know.
Sorry about that. Okay,
now
I'm off.
Robot on. Yeah. So yeah, welcome to Dojo. Good to see everybody. Hope everybody's well. I do not have a opening speech planned. I'm actually we're recording the audiobook. We're listening to Miguel Connor read the audiobook, and I'm just proofreading what he's saying. So I've been in the listening room all day, and I've been looking forward to this. So it's good to be here. I hope everybody's doing well. And let's take it away. Debbie, it's good to see you. I'm glad you were able to make it. What you got for Dojo today?
Yeah, thanks for adjusting the time. This is great. I was looking forward to this. I probably have some stuff accumulated over the weeks, but for right now, I think I'm just going to start out with, I like to try to investigate things and try to find out some kind of objective reality about what's going on around me. And this has been frustrating for me because I feel like the deeper I look, the less I know. And I just keep looking and listening anyway, reading, whatever I can do, just in regards to many, many things that are going on around us right now. Law is one of them, the legal. I just really would appreciate it if there was some kind of objective reality. And I honestly, I'm so between all the stuff about manifesting and belief, and then there's knocking up against reality, or what I would call reality. It just gets super confusing, and it gives me vitriol often that I can't. And I know I'm trying to do it too much with up here, my cerebral cortex. But I don't know, I'm just frustrated with it all. It pisses me off sometimes. This morning I was super pissed off about it. So I just thought I'd lay that out. And yeah, if anybody wants to talk about that, that's fine. Otherwise, yeah.
I definitely do. I love this problem. It's one of my favorites. It's actually why I wanted to start Dojo, because I'm under the impression that I know exactly what that is and how to help. No shit. This is why we carved this space. I think what you're feeling is more about posture than anything else. And the posture can only be adjusted by plugging leaks with how this feels. That what you're feeling is absolutely true. It's absolutely accurate. It's right on. You're seeing the world for its gooiness, not its set geometrical shape. You're even using hypothetical words like objective reality. And you're even saying, I miss the stilts of objective reality, damn it. I really wanted those training wheels because it was so much easier to go slow. I could go slow. I want to go slow on my bike. I don't want to go fast. And if I have these fucking training wheels, I can lean the fuck over and go, this isn't working, and not even get anywhere. The idea of going fast is antithetical to all methods of safety that are inside your system. And objective reality is what we've had. It's what our ancestors needed to come down from the trees. And that's not even a pro-evolution statement, just literally to rationally come down from the tree, to descend into your body. And I think the only problem, seriously, the only problem that you're having is the musculature, the armature that you need to hold your posture, that you think that it has to hurt, and it doesn't. And I think the way it doesn't hurt is to realize that nothing is broken. None of this is broken. All of the reality that we're seeing is just the matrix of everyone's collective fantasy and the disassociation they have with it. Why are they disassociated? Because they feel exactly like you do now, but they do not even go as far as you've already come. Instead, they've said, hey, wait a minute, you're getting away from objective reality now, so you're full of shit. You're conspiracy, and they're clinging to the ladder in the pool. And they're like, what the fuck are you doing? You're going out in the deep. You're insane. You are insane. You're in the deep now. And fuck, I'm not playing with you. No way. It's a completely different reality, and it's cold. It's cold there. And you find yourself always treading, and you're like, fuck, this is tiring as shit. It's tiring. And it's because you haven't learned how to find that buoyancy in your lungs. That there's a way that you can just kick back and look straight up and stop treading. And now you're just floating here. It's a completely different posture. And that kind of posture comes naturally by you stopping the shed of electricity. And that shed is only going to come from parts of you that think this world is broken. The more that you see the perfection of the thermodynamic equation of it all, the more you find buoyancy in your state. You develop this electrical immunity, this field that gives you buoyancy in the water. And you're no longer treading. In fact, tiny dogs and chipmunks are swimming onto your belly and using you as shelter. You are now fucking refuge, right? You're a floating island now for them. And sometimes that'll happen. Other people will do that. They will climb up on you because they're looking for that too. And they don't understand what's going on. So this is going to be a constant struggle for you. But the answer is always going to be finding your loss of electricity. And all you have to do is just, the awareness patches the hole. You don't have to know how to fix it, which means you don't even have to, this isn't one of those things where you have to admit you're broken. No, all you have to do is just simply witness the fact that, wow, I have a lot of stress about there not being an objective reality. And the moment you start to realize how much more exciting the deep end is without it, you're starting to alchemize that loss of the ladder as more of shaping the reality of, yeah, here's this world over here where I'm close to the ladder, but I'm not touching it. But if I just turn around, if I just change my witness, here's this whole deep end. And there's fucking pennies down there. I can swim down to those pennies if I practice. There's stuff to do. There's little toy dinosaurs, all kinds of shits down there. I can go down there and find that stuff. No one's going to believe me, right? I'll come back to the surface and say, there's a drain down there, a freaking snake monster, and no one's going to believe you. And it's going to make it harder. And that harder is only going to be because you're slowly letting go of your dependency on someone else's witness to give your reality substance. That's subjective reality. And the government is handing you a dilated reality as a service. I swear they're not doing it to fuck you up. The government is giving you a red-blue reality, objective reality, because so many people cannot handle where you're at. They're like, fuck that, fuck that, fuck that. And this is the most collective, agreeable, objective reality that we can shape with the media, with consciousness, with fashion, with industry, with jobs, with vaccines, with medicine even. It's the only way you can keep all the ants clung to each other so they're not going to sink in the water, right? So you're evolving, and it's always going to be cold. It's always going to be cold until you find that warmth. The coldness that you feel, the tiredness that you feel is your muscles building what it needs. that you would, here's what I mean. If you couldn't handle it and if it was wrong, and even if it was like not real, your system would have already kicked in and brought you back to the colony. It would have already done this. It would have told you things like, yeah, that dojo group, those guys don't know what the fuck's going on. And you would just slowly find yourself just drifting back. And you make excuses the whole way. Yeah, I left my glasses. I'd totally stay out of here, but I got to get my goggles and my nose. I can't get nose in my water. My nose. You do that anyway. So even your struggle right now, I think, is you just trying to give yourself witness that, fuck, this is hard.
Yeah.
And it does get better. It does. This is the getting better of it, is really what it is. I went way
Thanks.
too.
Thank you. I just want to go ahead.
Yeah.
Part of this, I think, that has to do with the energy leaking too, is that I feel like I really would like to be right. Just really want to be right. And I want people to know that I'm right, certain people. And I think that's all part of the same thing. That's what I think. I've actually succeeded a number of times in getting over that in situations where people are telling me things like, oh yeah, this virus and the masks and the contagion, and I work with it every day at my job. I work with somebody who's really pro-COVID, for lack of a better word, and listening to her go on, and I just really I have had some successes in saying things to her, well, okay, if your sister has COVID and you're worried about your father, maybe you should take the most conservative approach and just assume that maybe you might transmit it to him, and just be very careful because I know you love your father so much, blah, blah, blah. And I say stuff like that. And I try to go around what I believe, not even bring that into the picture, but just work with her reality. That's what I've been trying to do. And that really helps a lot. But there are times when I just freaking want to be right. I just want to win. And yeah.
I think maybe part of that could come from your lack of acknowledgement of how much of a Grand Theft, what Grand Theft Auto is? It's this video game. It's like really violent. It's like this video game where you get to like go beat up hookers and start fights with cops. And it's just like open brawl city. I'm maybe bad since you don't know the game, but if energetically you understood every time you're getting in the same room with that person, if you energetically understood, all right, Debbie, it's GTA time, and then you're just and you're like literally energetically cocking your fucking gun, and you're just like, all right, let's fucking go to fork, that you start to turn it more into a mat challenge, which means you're not being attacked. You're coming on the mat for exercise, and you'll find that even when you get your ass kicked before lunch because all these people ganged up on you, that because you walked into that room like it was a match, a karate match on Saturday morning, that because you approached it from that way, your entire profit loss is completely different now. You're running on a completely different pawn economy because you were never attacked. You were challenged. Do you see the difference?
Totally. I relate to that totally. Because when I've come out of it not feeling drained, that's exactly what I've been doing. Maybe you put it into words really well. And so now I have a way to think about it that's more tangible. Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and you could even utilize some magic by having a charm or a prop that reminds you of that aspect when you get to work. You can declare that space as dojo space. Like, I'm not saying do this, but like an example, you could like paint war paint under your eyes one day just as like a joke, and just kind of like for yourself, or have like a prop, some kind of little fighter guy you met, or just something that when you use the tangible nature of your world to plant prana for yourself, and you will do really, really well with the leakage there on that part.
Good. Cool.
Open witness, does anybody have anything on that? Hopefully you do.
Like when you first started talking about it, Debbie, you sounded angry, and I would lean into that. There's still lots to be angry about, and that's juice. That's energy.
I was thinking what James says about like the 20%, just, which is kind of opposite what Noam was saying. You were saying lean into it, but I was thinking, you know, you just like that soft touch of, or 40%, I don't know what percentage you say, but it's like just when we give it our all, then it's all gone and we've invested it all. And just to give it that light touch of, I don't know, attention, awareness. It's kind of the devil may care, like, oh, whatever, you know, that's how I take in that, use that 40% thing. You know what I'm talking about, Deb, huh?
Yeah, well said. And that stance comes naturally as you understand the challenge that you're putting yourself through, that you want. When you start to find yourself thankful for that, you're doing some serious flotation at that point. You are your own island at that point, and other people start coming to you saying, can you please define my reality for me? And then you're in a whole other world of vitriol. And that's like a whole other level. So it's not like this stops. It's just going to exercise. Now you're working your triceps instead of your biceps. So Dojo Earth is a complete calisthenic machine. It will work every muscle that you have, hopefully, and you won't be victimized. You know, it's no different than imagine going into a gym and finding yourself victimized by the spin class. If you were forced into the spin class, you would look at that as torture, and you would hurt yourself. Your back, something would happen. You'd have a hernia, a disc would slip, something bad would happen to you in that same spin class. If you felt like you were being attacked and the only way you could survive is to go to a spin class, that would be, man, like it would be such a different thing. So, and that's really, I think, what maybe I hope helps you, because it helps me really understand the nature of reality, that 0.003% of the visual spectrum is what we perceive, which would have to mean, seriously, the math would have to mean that 0.997% would have to be what we expect, or what we have to project to fill in the rest. And that might be more caloric, but that's truly how we paint. That gives us the canvas. It would be the difference between buying a white canvas at Michael's and buying a coloring book, where, you know, the ink's already in. You're just going to fill in the colors. These are different, right? It's a different kind of art. Both, neither one of them are more real than the other. Don't forget that the only reason why we have this concept called objective reality literally just means there's an egregore. There's this giant collective mental monster called humanity or society or culture. And it's so big that we get intimidated into thinking that it has a more authority over what reality is. And that would happen if you walked into work one day and a new guy named Ted walked in and he was 12 feet tall. You would swart to his reality. You naturally would, unless you were strong enough. If you weren't strong enough, you would say, look, Ted knows what's going on. I think we should trust Ted. And you wouldn't know why you trusted Ted. You wouldn't even understand that you were worshiping him, but just the sheer size of him would shape your reality. It would warp it like a gravity. Really, that's what culture is. That's why I talk so much about fashion, right? I go on and on about fashion because I think that's more about the nature of reality, Deb. I think that fashion shows you the ever shaping, convolving, it's like that dough that's just constantly being twisted and turned and shaped and spun and thrown up. There's no, whoever's in charge, whoever's the big Ted in the room is going to decide what the reality is, but it's only going to be because a lot of other people who didn't feel like holding that field just fell in line with him. So now you're looking at, what do they call that? It's not verberations, but it's like birds. You're looking at the pattern of birds now, and you're claiming that the swallows, none of them know what's going on, but only collectively do they show the shape of reality. And even that's not true. That's actually less real than the actual swallow itself that defines it, the actual starling itself that makes that pattern, at least from my perspective. But there again, that's just one perspective. Your pancreas has a completely different reality. And you know that because when your pancreas loses cells, it grows back pancreas cells from your same DNA. It knows, it sees itself as its own living entity. I am the pancreas. It has its own field, its own personality, its own history, its own trust or distrust of you. So even you, even who you are, is just a collection of agency, neurological agencies competing for control. And the ones that are most sufficient, that seem to run your ship the most, get to decide what your reality bubble looks like, which means that your avatar, the position you're in, is much more a painter of reality than a repeater or a sonar or a radar of it. That it's actually because of the way that you create reality, which is why all of your systems have granted you the 4 bars, the captainship of it. It's like, all right, it's your shot. Let's see how you do. And all you're going to do is tell it what reality is. You're going to tell it, we're a collective unit. This is who we are. And if you have more power, you're going to actually start to claim the molecules that are outside your body, your field, your sheen. People will see you from 100 yards away. They already do. And they recognize the vessel because the vessel truly stretches 100 yards away. That everything that's seen by you is also commanded reality because you were in charge of the shape of what people see. So reality itself is non-objective. Objective is a devolved kind of concept even. Anybody got anything? I'm doing way too much talking here. Way too much. Oh, there's another
Yeah,
hand.
I just want to, well, you pretty much said what I was going to say. I mean, the conclusion that you come to that, reality is not objective, because if we take what we're calling objective reality, that which everyone agrees upon, you can say that everyone always experiences objective reality differently than everyone else. So in a way, reality can't be objective. It's always subjective, because we experience that collective thing that we're all agreeing on differently than the person next to us. So ultimately, we are creating our own reality, but we're either choosing to be passive in that, whereas in the collective, your power is typically drawn from victimhood, right? And fear. And then when you're talking about subjective reality, creating your own reality, that requires, that power is coming from your own sovereignty from within, and that gets uncomfortable. And I think, Debbie, the more you continue to have these experiences and gain that sovereignty within yourself and creating your own reality, the less you're going to miss an objective reality or long for an objective reality, because you'll come to understand that there is no objective reality. The only reality that matters is yours, and how you choose to view it. And that's all I had.
Oh, that was a lot. Thank you, Eric. Anybody else? Open witness?
Yeah, I could just say that, you know, we're all living in such a distorted, crazy reality that Canada just reelected our abuser, right? Like literally the exact same like setup that we had before the election, the exact same thing, the exact same outcome just happened. So we just like collectively agreed to have this nightmare just keep on going with the same guy taking us down the road. And I don't even know what would have been better because, you know, Aaron O'Toole, like he's a globalist as well, and he's also military. So I mean, he might have just like done just a way more efficient job than Jihadi Justin. But with Jihadi Justin in command, the holy war is on, baby. It's on. It's not stopping. So yeah, collectively, we've all lost our motherfucking minds. Excuse my language.
Yeah, I noticed that too. And I think that if anything proves more that that even if there was an objective reality, it would be your duty to directly oppose it.
Yeah,
It would be watching
it's
what's
a sign of
happening.
health right now.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it really does give you true insight into where most people are.
Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah.
And it's hard to get mad at a bunch of people. Like it's hard to get mad at that because it's naturally where you're at. In fact, you're seeing without them, you would have no fucking idea how much you've evolved, how much you personally have grown. You would have no freaking clue.
Worlds apart.
No one would ever believe you if you tried to explain to them Justin Trudeau. Nobody would ever fucking believe that story.
Yeah.
The Philadelphia Department of Health person, Dr. Levine, nobody would ever believe you if you told them exactly what happened with no embellishments, just fact by fact, day by day. Here's what happened on this day, this day, this day. Nobody would believe you. And that shows you that warped egregore. It's a hunchback on the tower. It's you know, it's insane, but it shows you what grows in that culture. It's you. We grow from that culture. That is the culture which raises us, and it's stunningly beautiful in my opinion. It gives me hope to see that more than anything else. It's seeing how we are able to rise up out of this shows you, in my opinion, a divine plan that is tuning us, that is raising up these things.
Just to add, sorry, it actually helped me sort of come to a place of acceptance too, because people want this. They want it. So like, we're just along for the ride. Like whatever is, and so much has happened at this point. Like there's so much at play, and the things that have happened are so big that like literally we're just along for the ride. We're just here to watch at this point, I think.
Yeah, and I think that, well, well said actually. Alora, go ahead. Good to see you. Glad you made it.
Thanks. I just wanted to say to Erica, I'm also Canadian, and don't worry too much about Justin Trudeau because he's the shit test that this country needs. And we need to have some, difficult conversations with people like Muslims, like immigrants who've been told over and over that this party's giving them the things that they need and that all of us are racist and this and that. So we're actually the real jihadis. We're the ones who are building a spiritual empire, and we're the ones who are fighting, the dark forces. So I think don't worry about it. And there's really no way we could have voted ourselves out of this. I gave the PPC a vote just as the middle finger. But honestly, I don't think that it would have made a difference. And yeah, just find people like-minded. I've been looking on Instagram, just adding people just to try to stay together, find support, because, we are all in the ring, and part of my fashion is 80s music. And I play, We're Not Gonna Take It and Get in the Ring by Guns N' Roses. And I get myself really revved up over this because, yeah, this is a spiritual battle. So I'm with you, sister. That's all.
Oh, that's great. I love it. Thank you for that. No, go ahead, my friend.
One quick note about that Canadian election thing. It sounded like the other option against Trudeau was like a really watered down version of whatever his party was, to the point that it pissed off his own party. So in some ways, it might be a good sign that people didn't just vote against Trudeau. They did some of what she said of doing the PPC third option to give a middle finger to your own party for being such, such crap. But the reason I raised my hand, Debbie, you had mentioned the feeling of needing to be right, and that seemed to fit in with the discussion about objective reality and that kind of stuff. But you also mentioned that there was at least a couple specific people that you really wanted to have seen that you were right, and that stalking, that could be interesting. Why it is whatever it is about those people or those situations that they're the ones that are like getting intertwined in that. So that's it.
Yeah, no, just to add real quick to that, I think that you're looking at quantum entanglement when that happens, that the people that we want something from them, that there's a prana economy, an exchange. It's almost like we want to return those pellets and go, hey, well, I gave you too much belief, and the belief that you thought you were going to give me, you didn't give me enough. Can we fix that? And that's what we're seeing a lot. And looking at the people that you have those things with is just such good dojo for yourself, for sure. Anyone have anything on that? All right.
I do.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, my daughter, obviously. I feel like if I had been not as absent of a person when she was little, that she might have put more stock in things that I am saying now. I'm not saying them anymore to her, but there's a regret involved in that for sure. And she is the one, I'd love to be able to just have her tell me, yeah, you got some great points there, Mom, but anything I say, it's pretty much the opposite because of our history together. So yes, there was, trying to fix some energy exchanges that didn't go as I wished.
When you find yourself talking to her, I realize this is a general question, which is hard, but just overall, when you find yourself talking to her, are you giving 100% or 40%? Like, how do you feel? Do you feel kind of like you're really in a high gear, that you're really burning a lot of calories when you're with her, like talking to her or anything like that?
At various times. I'm aware of if I'm losing energy or if I'm not. And sometimes it won't be till afterwards,
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like you say, when you realize you're entering the ring, then you can put on the right gear and be ready.
Yeah, I would argue
I don't know, let's do it. Yeah.
that I could even argue, maybe as like a general rule, that you could even tell yourself that if you find yourself in a position where you're in a confrontation, and keep in mind, confrontations aren't, I don't mean them in necessarily a negative way. If you find yourself in a vitriolic exchange with someone and you find that you're really holding yourself well, I'd like for you to extend that a little further and picture that really what's happening is the plasma from this person is pouring into you through belief, that they are literally believing in you, which is the only reason why you're able to go so fast in second gear. You're able to hit that gear and you've got the momentum and the slipstream with you. You're in flow state and you're in an optimum transmission, and everyone respects, no matter how much you don't like someone, if you watch them being graceful or being in flow state, I think that the deeper part of you just believes in that and loves that. You can, the most annoying person in the world can still make you laugh. You can hate that soccer player so much, but when he does the bicycle kick over the head and it goes into the goal at just the last minute, you don't care. You're still embrace that grace, is what I'm trying to say. When you're with your daughter, the magic of judo, the magic of the mat, is that you can switch any point. That even after years and years of that, you can still change that position. You can still find a way to leverage that. It's harder because you've established a prana economy for so long, but it's possible. It's important and it's possible. And you'll find yourself getting there when you're at that 40%, because they are seeing how much you still have in reserve. And that automatically makes them secrete belief because they see confidence in that. They're like, wow, this doesn't threaten them at all. Me telling Debbie that she's wrong or she doesn't see this or whatever, she doesn't feel threatened at all. There must be some integrity there that I didn't see before. And you know what? It's not even false. It's true. Your 40% literally is an integrity of 60%, right?
Mhm.
That's what 40% means, is that you have an integrity of 60% that's just sitting there. And you're just like, yeah, man, I can do this all day. Hey, I'll go all day. What do you want to talk about next? It's a much more confident place to be.
Yeah, I totally love that. And I can, like I said, I can tell the difference when I'm doing that and when I'm not doing it. Becomes really obvious really fast.
Yeah. The
So,
key is for us to learn to catch that sooner.
yeah,
Sometimes it'll take me 3 days to catch it. And I hate that. Some days I don't catch it at all.
I know. I know. And I just want to say that I know I've talked about this before, maybe in a slightly different way, but it just really helps to repeat it. I mean, I feel like all of us get to be the way we are over a very long period of time.
Mm.
It involves a lot of energy exchanges. And for me to repeat this in different ways at different times, I feel like I have had this conversation. I just feel like it helps so much. So at the risk of repeating myself, I'm just going to keep doing it. How's that?
Yeah, that's how you learn your scales. You keep playing the triplies and the triplet, whatever you call them, over and over again until they become natural. So that's where we gain that energy, that strength. I find myself, I'm okay with it. It's more like I should start saying the word sacrificing it, because I'm consciously doing this. I'm running at 110% like every day. And I'm trying to back off because I just want to be more efficient is all. I literally feel like every day is like really crucial. Talking about my work, and this could be a fantasy that I've set up. I'm totally okay with that. I'm just telling you guys how I'm running my reality right now, that I feel like it's go time, and I'm doing as much as I can to carve as deeply as I can into the walls of reality, to scratch out what I see, what I want to see. And I find myself in a combat mode, and it gives me really, really addicting focus, because I feel so there's a desperation that comes with it that puts me on the hook. I'm secreting chemicals that normally my body would be like, it's all right, let's chill. And I feel it running my system down. And I don't like that because I want to be more efficient. So it's like I'm trying to adjust that myself. I'm playing with the gears, but I feel like I'm going, 80 miles an hour as I'm doing it. I'm trying to find a way to make this my new third gear. And I don't want to pull over. I don't want to stop at all right now. And when YouTube shuts me down, it's just like, I really feel how much I'm putting into it when shit like that happens. It's just like, it's just, I wish it, what I'm trying to say is that those are the only things that have led me to see what gear I'm in. It's the only way I would have even noticed it. I just would have just kept going, and I still am. I'm just more intense right now. But also I feel like that every moment counts. I'm thinking about all these employees. Melanie and I talk about this almost every day. Right now, all these people are resigning from jobs that I wish that if they believed in their reality more, If they just, that's it. That's all they would need. If they had a little bit more belief in their reality, they wouldn't feel like they have to fold by quitting. And when I say fold, I think in their mind, they don't think they're folding. They might even think they're doing the right thing, and they are. They're making a good product decision. However, they're missing an opportunity to make it expensive for their employer to do the wrong thing. That if instead, if they had more energy, if I could reach them, if anyone else could give them more amperage, they might start to see, wait a minute, this is the only time I ever have to make this expensive. And by me quitting, I'm making that very cheap. It's almost like I'm doing exactly what they were hoping I would do, which is like free and clear, I quit, which means that the company doesn't owe any obligation to you, to the false equivalency of setting up a mandate, for example, things like that. It's that kind of stuff. I feel a desperation from that because I want people to stand up quicker, like right now. Right now, that's what I want. And the school thing starting, and the homeschool thing, and everyone worried about their job, just all of it. All of it. And I think most of us are on that boat. Some of us aren't. Some of us aren't even paying attention to it. We're getting lost in other stuff. But I have no other interest right now than this. It's like every single moment of what I'm doing is like, why do we not have enough traction, Melanie? What the fuck do we do? How do we get this done more? How do we do this faster? Why aren't we producing stuff fast enough? It's just constant that. It feels good though. My reality is now shaped by this purpose that I didn't really have before. And so I'm drawing power from the talisman of me shaping this reality. What I'm trying to say is that I'm creating this reality bubble and using it as a sail. And it's able to pull my vessel into a certain direction. And all of that's just my perception of this. That's it. Like that's it. There are people that are in Dojo that don't even see the war, that just see this as, oh, everything's fine, everything's great. Let's do something else or whatever. And I can't say that they're wrong. I just know that that's not the reality that I have painting right now. I don't need it to be real. I would rather see what colors can I put on this canvas that would make my transmission hit a certain gear that it's never been hit before. And the next thing you know, I'm fucking popping out of the surface of the water, doing these back gainers like a giant whale, landing back in the ocean. Like, what cool ass shit can I do by painting the most ridiculous, false, if I want to call it reality, I can? I don't care if it's false or real. What can I use it to make my body do by believing in something? And now it's not about reality. It's more about belief. It's more about carving or forming it with clay and seeing how much you can play with it, right? It's no different than playing with a box of toys. What can I do with this adventure? Holy shit, it was a great adventure. What a great fantasy I just had. That was amazing, you know, that kind of thing. Stop talking now. Melanie, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna share with all of you about, well, all of you know I work in a hospital in HR, and it seems like on this past Friday, it was maybe 6 or 7 people. This past week, it's been like little groups that have been resigning. And I almost feel like I can't, like this anxiety, like it's almost anxiety that I can't reach them quick enough. And I want to so bad. I wish I could. And then maybe I can talk to them after the fact. But I just found out like right before Dojo, because there was a meeting that I'm supposed to have with like our leadership, and they had canceled it just for today, and like, you know, and asked me this. So I decided, fine, I'll do it tonight. So it's gonna be 7 o'clock their time. I mean, 7:30, like after Dojo anyway. And I meet with them, and I can't even imagine what they want to talk about. And then I finally caught wave of what it is. And they're trying to get some of us to gather some of the employees that we've either hired or worked with in different departments. I've been working with them for about 2 years. And talking or convince them not to move or not to leave. And they're going to start offering bonuses in cash to make them stay. Now, we all know how that's going to go if I try to even talk about that. So I'll probably be my last day today when it's all said and done, but maybe not. But it's just, it amazes me how people are giving up. I just wish they would just stand. And then I do find other people like online that I can see, like, I'm not leaving my job. I'm going to stand, tall. And I wish everyone could just do that, because I think it would just help all the way around if more people would just stick it out and just stand up. Because I get so angry about it. Like Debbie, I understand that angry, or I do. So, yep. That's it.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but would you want to share what happened Friday? I just think it's just so fitting. If not, it's
Yeah.
cool. Sorry.
No, it's good. Every Friday for the past 3 weeks, I've been told that I'm not compliant. And it's not October 1st yet. And on October 1st, we mandate, she's laughing, we all have to be vaccinated. And all the people that I had, like in offers and things like that, some I was able to save, some I haven't. And I was asked this past Friday, oh, Melanie, you're not compliant. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. And I didn't say anything about not having it. If I had it, he has no idea. And it's the same guy. And he's told me how he didn't like my attitude, and just, it went back and forth. I'm like, Adam, I am really busy. I've got to go. And he's like, no, he goes, actually, this is going to be your last day. And I'm like, really? And he actually fired me right on the spot on a Teams call, just like this on Zoom. And I'm like, okay. And I just shut down and I couldn't get back on. They totally, like, I could not believe how I could not get back on. And I just had to think about it for a minute. I mean, really, it just kind of, I didn't even call anyone, because I was just like, I can't believe this happened. What am I going to do about it? I received a letter from the vice president of talent acquisition, and the title said, rescinding. And I'm like, what in the world could this be? So now she's telling me in this letter that I'm to come back to work, more or less, and that Adam will be spoken to, and that nothing, and she didn't mention anything about the vaccines, other than she did remind me about everyone being compliant, and that how we're going to have a meeting and talk about it. Well, they ended up canceling it. And then I pushed them off, because she's like, what about later? I'm like, well, no, I have something to do. And then when I thought about it, I sent her an email right before Dojo. And I said, I have a class. And I said, and if you could do it afterwards, she goes, that would be great. And I have no idea I don't know what they're going to say, other than what I just kind of found out. But anyway, that's what ended up happening. I got fired, and now I'm reinstated. Just like that. And it's the craziest thing I've ever been through. I can't even believe it. I can't even get the words out, because it's just, I can't believe it. But yeah, so.
That's part of that desperation where just all these bodies are falling every day, and you just want to help the battlefield as much as you can with triage.
We do.
Yeah.
Yep. So thank you.
No, thank you. Noam, go ahead.
As far as that standing up thing, one of the largest healthcare systems in North Carolina is UNC healthcare system. It's Rex and stuff. And they just extended their deadline a month and said that if you were past the original deadline, you were now on probation. So, that's a sign of that, right? You don't extend it for a month unless you're looking at a whole group of nurses in particular, probably, that you're going to lose, that you can't handle. So some of that shit's happening. And also there's this thing I've already seen happening, or I feel like I've seen through stories, is that they'll fire nurses, and then private contractors will pick up nurses, and then they can farm independent contractor nurses into these hospitals that are not subject to the mandate. So it's, in a weird way, it's just a way to privatize and break, that whole having to have an employer that gives you healthcare and all that. Like, so there, there's lots of ways that this grease is happening. And it's not nearly as cataclysmic. It's just really fucking bumpy as far as what these people are going through. But I'm really mixed on this notion of the standing up thing, because I've already been through it recently, and I've seen it different ways, that like there comes points where this fight is not valuable for you, the individual. It's just not. You're putting in way more expensive than you're going to ever cost this behemoth. And so I just think I encourage people to be really honest about why they're fighting, or what they expect to get, or what it's going to fucking cost them. because it can totally not be fucking worth it. And the other thing I wonder about this is that when they lock down, a lot of people, like my whole life, my whole life, I've always thought that society at large is too obsessed with their jobs. Like, I get some people get careers that they love, and that makes more sense to me. But like most people I've known don't have careers that they love, and yet they put that kind of importance on it, sort of. And I feel like when they shut down and actually like stopped a lot of people's jobs, like that was a unique fucking dilating as fuck experience for these people that put too much effort into their jobs, or too much focus into their jobs. And I think when some people got the jobs back, they don't taste as good as they used to. I think that's why we're seeing these articles about like the mass resignation and shit like that. Like, it's just not, I think that's a beautiful sign. And I don't want, fucking service workers that are in a shit situation to fight back because some unjust thing is happening, if they're really just kind of realizing that I want it out fucking anyway, and they're just kind of doing me a favor. Like, I just think it's so fractal right now, how much it's been dilated, that I don't want to broad brush like people's approach to how to deal with this kind of system, right? Because it's like, it is so varied, what people's situation is and what kind of value they want, and I'm just rambling now, but it's that kind of thing.
Can I respond to that for a second? And really I do. One thing I failed to say, at first I was so worried. I mean, really worried, like, oh fuck, all I got to do is just like, I could forge anything. I can forge it and send it in, it's a big company and all that. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. And I've made sure that they can't get me for work performance. And I got, I want that letter. I want that letter so bad. And then when that's done, I almost feel like it's unknown what's going to happen next. But I personally, I'm looking forward to that. I really am. And it's not like a matter of like wanting to get out. I've worked all my life, but that's what I want more than anything, to be able just to say, I'm getting fired because I did not get a vaccine. Really? And I know that how that sounds, but that's like for me personally. And then after the fact, I'm not going to go out there and be Miss Career. No way. I mean, I'll probably work and do something, but it's all going to be towards all of this or around this or something. Because I've always just had something here, whatever we're doing. But
yes, to both of that, I just want to point out that if you find yourself giving 40%, I think you'll find that the battle will never be Vorpal or something that would, completely kill you, that you could step away and go, okay, well, that was fun. I played war for a while. I want to do this other thing too. So I just hope that people understand how expensive it is to make them fire you because you would not get a vaccine. Even if the government grants them immunity from that, I'm just telling you, I understand how human resources works on a larger capacity, and that the reason why Mel is in such a good position right now, Mel, feel free to correct me, but the reason why she's in such a good position right now is because everyone in the human resources department right now is basically working harder than anyone else has ever worked in their entire lives, because they're either firing or rehiring or trying to get them off of their unemployment system because they were fired. And anyone who quits is a free pass. And I just think most people don't see that yet. And they feel guilt because they won't get the vaccine. Anyway, I'm just explaining what I meant by war. There's really no reason for that, because I think you're both on point. Alara, go ahead.
Oh, hey. Yeah, I just wanted to say it's so motivating watching you work, James. And I actually don't know what you're trying to do before. I don't know what your goals are really. I've just listened to hours and hours of you talking. And it's motivating because, yes, I want my daughter to go to, climb the Appalachian Mountain one day and see some dragons made out of sticks and take a torch from someone and have that rite of passage instead of, what we all do, go to college, get a job, whatever. I got to be a free spirit in Hawaii for a couple of years and it changed my life. I found my voice there. I found my sovereign spirit there. and, you know, never stop talking about what you want to do. Just be clear. I think you've attracted people who are visionaries. I'm not going to say delegate, but I think that there's lots of us who want to share your vision and see it manifest. So yeah, it's awesome. It's very contagious. It's more contagious than COVID. That's all.
Thank you. I think the reason why it's contagious is because of the gear. If I find the right transmission, people see, hey, not as is they have a lot of torque, but he looks comfortable. You couldn't help it. It's that same graceful thing. It's like, God, that guy's such an asshole, but what a fucking move that was. You know, it's the same kind of thing. And that's just the charisma of it all. But thank you. What you just said just really just makes me feel awesome. Cole, go ahead, my friend. Good to see you.
Hi, good to see you too. First time talking on Dojo, so kind of interesting for me. I just kind of going off of what Noam was saying earlier, just like seeing people like lose their addiction to jobs. I'm actually like in my specific circumstance, I'm kind of seeing the opposite because I'm in the military, and my wife is in the military too. And during this whole thing, I like everyone that I'm surrounded by is military too, and they're just like, oh, this is the best job ever, even though they always every day, just like me, complain about the military. And it's kind of hard, like, you know, some aspects of my life have been made easier just by where I'm at right now, but also it's just really hard seeing people like so addicted to it, like my wife. The military just, as you guys probably heard, like just mandated the vaccines, and they actually finally are coming out with actual dates when you're supposed to have it by. So it's for real now. It's not just like some ether voice saying, you know, oh, should be vaccinated, you know, but not actually enforcing it. No, like actually, like we're facing like not criminal charges technically, but like UCMJ actions. If we don't get it. And I'm trying to go down the route of religious exemption. She's not, because she says no matter what, she doesn't want to lose this job, even though every day, like, she complains about her job just like I do. And like, I'm still trying to understand it myself, like why people are so like, they hate something so much, but they like can't seem to let it go. And I'm really struggling with that. Like, I'm not in that boat anymore. Like, I've already looked at all of the options and all of the possible outcomes of trying to avoid the vaccine. And honestly, all of them except for prison time basically sound worth it. I could get kicked out. What do you fucking do? It means I'm more free than I have been the last 3 years of my life. But you know, a lot of people, unfortunately, like my wife, kind of don't see it that way. Like, she's already got her first dose, unfortunately, because it just doesn't, like, even though we have family and we have friends that could help us find jobs, so like not even just support us, but help us find a way to support ourselves. It's, for some reason, there's just that wall in front of her, and an invisible wall that's not even there. So I'm just kind of struggling with that right now.
I think you're looking at her prana economy that in fact, the reason why she complains about the job is legitimate, and the reason why she can't let go of the job is legitimate. So she's showing you exactly where her prana economy is with that the carving her own reality is way too expensive right now. Maybe her watching you do it might be exactly what she needs. It could be that that's why you're in her life, is you're going to carve your reality as she witnesses you. And that'll change her, even if it doesn't change her the way that you might want it to. That will still change her. She will have no choice but to witness that. And with you being such an important role in her life, it really does give you a very special, intimate ability to write something directly onto her heart. Your actions are carving her heart every day because of the intimacy she gives you. So in a way, what I'm trying to say is in a way, she picked you. She knew you would act the way you're acting right now, which is showing you even more about her transmission. Like, right. It's showing her that, look, I don't want to fucking let go of this bar, but damn, that deep end looks fun. What I need someone like Cole here who will accept me, not get freaked out while I'm clinging on to this, but will also allow me to maybe consider exploring this further. So it's an intricate position you're in, right? It's a position on the mat. It really is. Well, I wish you luck, my friend. I'm glad you're here.
Thank you. It's good to be here. I'm really happy that you're doing a dojo at this hour. It's definitely a lot easier for me than Friday because or than like noon on Friday because I work a 9 to 5.
Well, on that, we'll take a quick note to say that how we're doing it is that anyone who wants a dojo and they're not able to make it, you have to let Melanie know. And Melanie's trying to collate when the best time to do a dojo is. And we sort of decided last week that we were just going to let it fluctuate. So whoever missed it last time gets to almost dictate when the next dojo is. So yeah, I'm glad you're here too. Open witness for Cole. Anybody have anything for Cole on that? All right. Erica.
One thing I'd say real
Go ahead.
quick.
Yeah.
It's just that like obviously from hearing you speak, you sound like you're already honing in on listening to your own intuition, right? Like to carve out whatever that path might be and explore it. And like exuding confidence in that, like if that stance that you can have, that's what's going to make you seem like that pillar that she can let go of the ladder at the short end and kind of come out to you, right? Like you're not going to have to, it's not going to be anything you say. It's not going to be an argument you give her. It's not going to be anything like that, right? And you're not going to have to, in fact, asking her to do it is going to be worse, right? It's just you putting out that stance and she will come to you. It will be more comfortable because you're the husband. You have that space. You've got that position where, I mean, in the military, that's a big comfort thing you're fighting, right? Like that's one of the mother of all like kind of comfort zones. But you still have the trump card by being the husband. And so if you can put that out, she'll gravitate to you. That's what she wants to be. She married you.
Really well said, Noam. Absolutely. She'll see you floating on your back. She'll be like, he's not treading at all. I'm gonna sit on his fucking chest for a while. It'll be cool. And you'll be like, yeah, because it makes you feel better too. You gain more energy from that too. Women are fucking awesome that way. They're able to pull torque out of men when that torque is not there. It's not even there. And somehow a woman's able to come up to a man and go, no, we can fucking lift this Buick. I can make him do it. It's no problem. I can get it out of him. It's no problem. It's beautiful. It's why women are here. I'm not trying to say that. Well, yeah, sure. Why not? I don't care. I'll get in trouble for that. Whatever. Erica, go ahead.
Sorry. I had something for Cole.
Yeah, please.
Hey, Cole, I'm Andrea, and it's great to see you. And thanks for speaking up. I have so much respect for you. And your ability to stand strong and to be, just to have your stance, you've got, it's not easy. It's not all like, oh, bluster, I've got this. You just right on. I respect you so much. And thanks for being here. It's really nice to meet you.
I appreciate that. Thank you. And also just thank you for saying like you appreciate me being here instead of something super shallow, like thank you for your service. It's really annoying starting to hearing that everywhere I go.
Words after my own true heart. I've got yelled at all the time because I tell people about thank you for your service. And they're like, what would you know? You never did anything for your country. And I'm like, dude, I was in the Gulf War. Shut the fuck up. If anyone's allowed to say this, it's me. And they're like, you don't have a right to say that. I'm like, why? If not me, who the fuck gets to say that? It's so insane. But it's part of the prana economy. You're watching the reality shape itself on those things. So, Erica, go ahead.
Hi. I just wanted to say that I think I might be one of the crazy people who I'm kind of looking forward to fighting with my boss and maybe trying to get fired. My job's all right. Like I work for the post office. It's pretty cushy. It's all right. But like I'm not that attached to it. And I've wanted to make some changes. I've wanted to get out of the city. I'm looking at it kind of an experience. I've never been fired before. I've never just like completely just completely told anybody just absolutely no under any circumstances. And just for the experience of like just going in and like absolutely standing in the truth. Like I know that I have the truth behind me and that I like these are my rights. Like I have absolute inalienable rights that nobody can take from me. No matter what kind of mandate or what kind of policy or what kind of nonsense, right? So I don't know, it might be the best thing that ever happens to me. Like I'm not there yet. Right now I'm at home. I'm on short-term disability. I'm hoping to ride that out as long as I can. But when the time comes, I can bring it on. I don't know.
Both sides, if I said this last dojo, please forgive me. I forget what I've said where. But both Republicans and Democrats are finally saying in unison, my body, my choice. If that's not progress, I don't know what is. If that's not putting people more in their bodies, I don't know what it is. There's a divine hand here at play, and it's doing wonderful things with the clay of humanity. It really is. Anyone else?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, like, from where I'm at, I'm not working, I'm not in the military, but I was in the military. And I remember when the anthrax, vaccines or shots were being made mandatory, and that if you didn't get it, they could, put you in the brig or, give you a dishonorable discharge and ruin your life. And so I just remember being the guy that took that because I didn't want to deal with all of that. And, it's like now I'm working for the government and here we are in this situation again. And I find myself just, really ready to, I've already made the decision within myself that I'm not going to take this thing. And so I've already accepted that. And like, just looking at the possible things that could come from that and just accepting whatever comes and just taking that in and just sitting with that and knowing that, I'm making the right choice. And so it doesn't matter what happens. Everything that happens because I'm making this choice is going to be far better for me than if I made the opposite choice. And so that in and of itself continues to fuel me in the situation. Like we just got an email saying that November 22nd, everyone has to be vaccinated, fully vaccinated. And then they give you this criteria of what that means. And so when you have had to have the first dose of whatever vaccine and the second dose, and they put out this survey thing that we all had to fill out about what's your status, and you could decline. So I declined to give my status. So they're treating me as if I'm unvaccinated. And so I decided that, whatever happens, I'm fine with it, but I have options. I'm going to make it expensive, as expensive as I can. And so I'm looking to get a reasonable accommodation for, religious views. And the funny thing is they tell you that that's an option, but then when you go and try to find out how do I get that, it's almost like they're suppressing their own department or the person that would be responsible, right? And so I found some document. It said to talk to your supervisor. So I sent my supervisor an email. They had no idea. They had to go and find out. Nobody's gotten back to them. They put out a newsletter that had this talk all about how to do it if you had a medical disability, but nothing about a religious exemption. So, that in of itself gives me some vitriol. It just makes me work that much harder to make it expensive because they're making it expensive for me right now. And so now I feel like I need to make it that much more expensive for them and have that resolve to just keep going down that path. And if it doesn't work, then I know whatever comes from that, I'll be fine. But yeah, it's I think it's up to the person, whatever you feel like your energy would be best spent doing, that's what you should do, right? Because only you know how to spend your energy.
Yeah, really well said, Eric. All of that, all of that. Melanie, go ahead.
Eric, I just wanted to say something about your comment about the religion thing. One thing that I did find out, and I don't know if it holds true with everyone, because of course there's private owned companies. But what I did find out is if any employer company is going to insist or mandate vaccines, that you have to have that exemption as far as religion. But it's not really defined. And you're right, it's not. I think it's going to go by each company. And that's why I think they're all fucked. They can't, it's too much. There's too much of the unknown. And that's why I feel that people just, I mean, that was the first thing I thought about doing too, but it's not defined properly. And I think, like you said, we're all just going to kind of do our own thing with that, which is great. But at the same time, they don't even know what they're doing. They just don't.
Well, I will say that, so they sent this email out saying that they had gotten the results, right? So they gave us the date of September 17th. Everybody had to report their vaccine status. And in the email, it said, we want to report that the overwhelming majority of people have been fully vaccinated.
Oh, right.
And as such, we're pushing back, we're extending the time that we were going to start having people come back into the office. So in one breath, they tell you that almost everyone's vaccinated, yay. And because of that, we have to continue to work from home a little bit longer than we just told you. So this is the second extension, and they pushed it into January. So I think the reality is not what we're being shown. I think the reality is a lot more people than I think we even imagined are pushing back, and they're not doing it. And, you know, they want you to think everyone's done it, so you might as well just get it done and get it over with. They're not telling you you can have a religious exemption or even how to go about getting that. They're just almost like telling you that you basically have to get this done. It's like they're turning up the pressure because they know that people aren't complying
Right.
at the rate I think that they would like to see.
Well,
I
I want to
agree.
remind everybody that every single draft that ever happened in the world played out just like this. And that when you're in the village and they're like, all right, if you don't sign up for the draft and get this $100 bonus, we're going to throw you in jail, that doesn't have to happen. In fact, it never did. That all it took was the Pied Piper coming in saying, we're going to give you a free donut. And if you don't, not only will you not get a free donut, but we're going to throw you in jail. And that all you have to do is say that. This is an egregore. It can lie all at once. Why? Because you can't, after all this is over, there's not a person you can go up to and point at and say, you lied to me. It's the system. It's invisible. And we don't have collectively, we don't have a memory. The egregore doesn't have a memory. So it doesn't lash back and say, system, you said that 18 intelligence agencies said they were WNDs. That never happened. Never. Why? Because collectively, we don't have a memory for those kind of things. There's no neurological structure yet to hold ourselves accountable to that. Mephisto, good to see you, my friend. Great to see you. Thanks for being here. Go ahead.
Hello to the tribe. At first, how is the sound? Can you hear me?
Yep, sound great.
Yeah. When I sound weird, maybe it's because of the time zone here in Germany is 2 a.m. You know, it's in the middle of the night. I'm in that mood. Sorry to make 180 turn. I will go back to the beginning, to the objective and subjective reality. And hopefully I make a bridge to that point. At first, I think that what we call as objective reality, it's a fantasy of consent filled with drama. You know, you think you are in line till you know you're not. And yeah, it's now I make a bridge to today. I think it's a great Rocky Horror Picture Show, you know, what they present us. You look at the numbers, 1.5 years gone. They had locked up and the whole show. And only 220 million cases of positive, not of disease. Maybe that sounds many if you pay a basketball player, but in mankind, that's only 3%. And from that 3%, 98% till now, if we cut the older ones, survive this thing. It's a magic balloon, triggered the lower levels of us. And in fear, we make wrong decisions, And I see, like I said the last time, they sell us a new form of apartheid. We had this in a religion, we had this in politics, but we did it in medicine. Rocky Horror, because of that, because I see, that what we call system lives through the people who surrounds us. My brother called me, my mother is now in Turkey, and full of her happiness, he tell me how he convinced me, my mother, to get the shot, And the horror is, he meant that. He is happy. I make homeschooling for 4 months. Now we had vacation and so, and the school's beginning here. And my 12-year-old daughter came as the advocate of the system. Said, I want to go to school. That now I come to subjective reality. I can have the best purposes. But when I look as a tyrant in the eyes of my daughter, all my good intentions is crap. And when she have not the experience, I can tell her what I want. She will not the equal one to vergleichen. Yeah, you know what I mean, I think. What I did make like a system we would make at the parents, because it's natural system. This system copies only what's natural. And I had to take that what you call vitriol. I love to dive into that. I'm born in that thing. I make the decision to have my daughter her own experience. I know her. She's not in school, and when it gets colder, she self won't come back home. But when she did that now, she won't doubt me then, because she makes the experience how she did this is in school. Only the absence of school make her a fantasy of missing friends and so. And I get the first fruits this week. They was sick, I appreciate it. For me, that's an experiment. We can't fight such thing, we can't affect, it's my opinion. Only we can affect it with what James do, what you do, what I do. And convincing, that's convince is not a battle. And I love James for his work, because I call myself Lucifer's advisor, because I bring compassion to that guy a long time ago, then I found him speaking on this on a whole other level. And now I'm here in the tribe and sharing my thoughts with people across the ocean. And thank you all.
Thank you.
That's what I bring on the plate for today.
The neurons are strong. And I've felt a kinship with you for a while. I'm really glad to see you in Dojo. I'm really glad we did this at night, because it got you here, although I realize it's 2 a.m. where you are. I think that when we have 40%, everyone around us is going to feel more comfortable with the reality that we're carving, which is going to make it more appetizing for them to possibly consider. And that everyone is within your right mind and your most moral purpose to try and sell your reality to anyone around you. I really think that that's the ultimate autonomy and sovereignty interacting in this, as you said, as I've said before too, this shared fantasy, this
Yeah.
shared
Can I, I forgot one thing. You know, you say something epic, that to stand on yourself, that means you need a witness from another being to fulfill yours, you know? And that's, I think, the ultimate point. Sometimes we reach it, sometimes we're weak, then we come to your 7 levels things. It's a great journey for all of us. And I think we have a individual point and the point we share. The other people is like the colors who painted the paintings of our life or something in this. Yeah. Okay. Now I leave for another source. Thank you all for listening.
and we are building this filament together. I think the internet is more profound than we think it is, that
Yeah.
technology tends to follow the shape of reality more than it tends to define the shape of reality, right? And that you're looking at the global telepathic matrix of the soil literally waking itself up. The first thing it woke up to was having a telegraph, that it was able to send messages from the soil from one place to another through a copper wire. And that developed into more complex forms of communication. You're watching this entire reality grow conscious. And each of us are pollinating the consciousness around us purely by our charisma, purely by our vibration. When people see you vibrate, they look at your economy and they detect how cool you are, how confident you are. And they either want that or they detest that. And that's all fashion is. It's a collective conglomerate experience. That's why certain things come into fashion and fall out of fashion. Technologies work and then they don't. Vaccines work and then they don't. That kind of technology of vaccines was actually necessary for many people to find their way through this idea of placebo, nocebo, the technology of health, of medicine itself, that all these experiences are showcasing that. Because every medicine that's worked in the past, every fucking one of them involves some sort of sacrifice, some sort of pain ritual, some sort of little death in exchange for a larger death. I don't think that means that all medicine works that way. I think that means that's how training wheels work. That when you have training wheels on your bike, it's going to be a tiny sacrifice in your gracefulness, your confidence, and your ability to even drive in a straight line. But if that's what it takes to get you to learn to ride your bike, then those training wheels are true. They are now effective and safe for your reality to learn to stand up and you to find the true power inside yourself. So all of these lessons, that's where I'm hoping Debbie will see more power from this. All of this shit is vital and necessary. It's the sweat and blood on the mat, and it's good. It means this dojo is working. It means it's working perfectly because everybody's sweating, everybody's bleeding, and people are still advancing, and we're learning different belts. We're gaining different skills. Every generation is getting better, not worse. So that has to feel good. It has to. There's no reason why it shouldn't. Open witness, anyone got anything? It's 6 minutes.
I could say that just when it comes back to being right, last year people were telling me that that I was so crazy. People were literally trying to get me committed. Like my family members tried to get me committed, like no joke. That's how crazy they thought I was. And this year people have come to me and they've told me that they're sorry that I'm right, you know? So, you know, as far as especially particularly my kids, last year, they thought I was completely off my rocker. My one kid was very upset with me for standing up for him with the school. He really didn't want me to be the crazy mom at the school, right? Fucking flipping it on the principal, you know? And now he's proud of it. Now he's like, yeah, because my mom won't let me get the vaccine. I'm like, that's right. Like, nobody's giving you the vaccine. They know they better stay away from you. So things change. They change. There's hope. Debbie, you're going to be right. They're going to tell you one day that you're fucking right. You'll have your vindication.
Right on, Erica. And to spoil it, the day they tell you you're right, you would have already noticed like the day before that you didn't need it. I'm swear it'll be that way. Sorry. But that means you're finished. That means that you've broken out of that prawn economy and you lost that appetite for it. So it's still a good thing overall. But yeah, it'll be totally spoiled like that.
It's true. It's true because I have had that experience, and it's always like, I should be more excited about this, you know, and it never feels as exciting as the vitriol was originally.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a funny equation how it works, but that means that you've gotten better because it didn't satisfy you quite like you thought it would before. Hey, there's Adam. Go ahead, my friend. Good to see you.
Hey, everybody. Yeah, so I had a super interesting experience recently, super dilating. And it's a really cool prawn economy for me to be involved in and just kind of watch it grow. So my lady friend from Pennsylvania, she flew down to Nashville with her parents last Thursday, and I went and picked her up. And long story short, we went to the Smokies and she got us a cabin and stuff. And in terms of like kind of creating a little reality bubble and you know, just something to process is we did a whole bunch of magic mushrooms and a whole bunch of MDMA, and I have never felt so great in my life. And it's so interesting. People can, you know, say whatever you want about the possible dangers of doing something like that. I think we did it responsibly and in a safe way. But it's the electricity is so different. And I think every time I have one of these kinds of experiences, whether it's been like DMT or LSD, like, and not just saying that you can only find this in drugs, like, I think it's kind of like that, strap yourself to a rocket ship and it could, you know, hit the moon, or it could go up and go and explode if you don't have the right circumstances. And so it was just really magical and kind of life affirming, which is great. And I think, you know, it was a synchronicity for me because it was so funny when you had that your most recent show that you put up on D Live, and you're like, people are afraid of the unknown, and that seems like kind of like what we were hung up on for so long, of like both of our communication issues, and then we finally, you know, have this like, you know, jump into the unknown and go on this adventure. And yeah, it was the best sex, the best drugs, and the best time that I've ever had. And so it's kind of the opposite of vitriol. The vitriol now is, you know, I took her to the airport, and you know, Monday I took her to the airport, and it was the Pisces harvest full moon in Virgo. And when I dropped her off and she left, I cried like a little boy for a good 15-20 minutes on the way home, and it was just pouring rain everywhere. So it was just interesting to kind of see these themes. And yeah, it was just some cool shit. Very magical. Life is so magical. So that's what I wanted to share.
Yeah, you got that sheen right now, my friend. You got it right now.
You are
And-
glowing, Adam.
Yeah, and I'll add that I do think mushrooms are poison. And as I said, all medicine, what is all medicine, Adam? What, you know, like the most powerful medicine is going to be some sort of sacrifice, some sort of exchange for that. So
I lost 13 pounds in 4 days. And you know, I'm back up, but yeah, I did mention that when that was happening. These things are poisonous, and you know, we're simulating dying to some extent.
Yep.
And
that's how you secrete epiphany. And it looks like you secreted it. That's why you're crying in the car, because you're like, holy shit, I secreted so much epiphany. I'm crying right now.
Yeah. Salty.
Yeah, that is great, man. You're at that. That's where you're supposed to be right now. So more power to you. Great to hear from you. It's 8:30. right on the nose. Does anyone else have anything else that they need to say? Otherwise, we're going to unmute ourselves. Let me see. I'm going to wait for that. All right, let's unmute and everyone say goodbye. And thanks for being here for Dojo. We don't know what it'll be next week, right? Yet, right, Melanie? You're going to decide, but we'll know. So
Yes,
no Dojo.
yes,
this
we'll know.
week.
Yep. And plenty of notice. Yep, we'll know.
All right, great. Everyone unmute and say goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Great
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for coming.
Happy equinox.
Love you guys.
Yes, I was gonna say that. Yes, happy equinox.
Yeah.